Imagine a vast, intricate machine. This machine is a country's economy. It has countless moving parts. People work, businesses create, money flows. Sometimes this machine runs smoothly. Other times it sputters. It might run too fast, overheating, or it might slow down, almost to a halt. Fiscal policy is like a set of controls for this economic machine. It is a tool, a powerful tool. Governments use it to influence how this machine operates. They try to keep it running just right for everyone. So, what exactly is fiscal policy? Think of it as the government's plan for its own money. It involves two main actions: spending and collecting money, mostly through taxes. These decisions are at the heart of fiscal policy, a constant balancing act. Understanding fiscal policy is like understanding a fundamental law of how societies manage their collective well-being. Why do governments bother with fiscal policy? What are they trying to achieve? There are several big goals. One primary objective is to keep the economy growing. A growing economy means more jobs. It means businesses are thriving. It means people generally have more opportunities. Think of it like tending a garden. The government uses fiscal policy to provide the right conditions for economic plants to flourish. Another crucial goal is to keep prices stable. You have probably heard about inflation. That is when prices for everyday things go up too quickly. Your money buys less. Fiscal policy can be used to cool down an overheating economy that is causing rapid inflation. Conversely, if prices are falling too much, called deflation, that can also be bad. It can discourage spending. So the government tries to find that sweet spot, where prices are relatively stable and predictable. Full employment is another major aspiration. This does not mean absolutely everyone has a job all the time, but it means striving for a situation where most people who want to work can find a job. High unemployment is a drag on the economy. Fiscal policy tools can be used to stimulate job creation during tough economic times. So how does fiscal policy actually influence this vast economic machine? It works by affecting something called aggregate demand. That sounds a bit technical, doesn't it? But it simply means the total demand for all goods and services in an economy. If people and businesses are spending more, aggregate demand goes up. If they are spending less, it goes down. Fiscal policy directly nudges this total demand in one direction or another. When the government increases its own spending, it directly adds to this aggregate demand. Imagine the government decides to build new high-speed rail lines. It hires engineers and construction workers. It buys steel and concrete. All these actions inject money into the economy. The workers who get paid then spend their money on groceries, clothes, and entertainment. The companies supplying materials also see increased business. This creates a ripple effect, a chain reaction of spending. Taxation, the other main tool, also influences aggregate demand, but more indirectly. When the government cuts taxes, people and businesses have more of their own money left over. This increased spending boosts aggregate demand. Let's delve deeper into the first major tool of fiscal policy: government spending. This is when the government uses public funds to purchase goods or provide services. It is a direct injection of demand into the economy. Think of it as the government itself becoming a major customer. Its shopping list can be incredibly diverse, ranging from paper clips for government offices to advanced satellites exploring the cosmos. Government spending can be broken down into several categories. There is spending on public goods and services. These are things that benefit everyone, like national defense, public parks, and clean air initiatives. There is also spending on infrastructure. This includes building and maintaining roads, bridges, airports, and communication networks. Good infrastructure is like the circulatory system of an economy. It allows goods, services, and people to move efficiently. Section 5. Show me the money: how spending shapes things. Let's look at some real-world ways government spending can shape the economy. Imagine a country is experiencing a recession. Businesses are laying off workers. People are hesitant to spend money. The economic machine is sputtering. In such a scenario, the government might decide to launch a major infrastructure project. Perhaps it decides to build a new network of high-speed trains connecting major cities across the nation. This is a classic example of using spending to boost the economy. This train project immediately creates jobs. Engineers are needed to design the tracks and stations. Construction workers are needed to build them. Factories will get orders for steel, concrete, and train cars. These newly employed people now have incomes. They will spend this money on groceries, rent, and other necessities. This spending in turn supports jobs in other sectors. The grocery store owner might hire an extra cashier. The landlord can pay for repairs. This is the multiplier effect in action, where initial government spending leads to a larger overall increase in economic activity. Even spending on education has profound economic impacts. Section 6, the other side of the coin, taxation. Now let's flip the coin and look at the other major tool of fiscal policy, taxation. Taxation is how governments collect money from individuals and businesses. This money is then used to fund all that government spending we just talked about. There are many different types of taxes. Income taxes are levied on what people earn. Corporate taxes are paid by businesses on their profits. Sales taxes are added to the price of goods and services you buy. Property taxes are based on the value of land and buildings. Taxes serve multiple purposes. The most obvious one is to raise revenue for public services. Without taxes, there would be no money for schools, hospitals, roads, or national defense. But taxes also influence economic behavior. For example, a high tax on cigarettes is intended to discourage smoking. A tax credit for installing solar panels is designed to encourage the use of renewable energy. Section 7. Taxes in action. Shaping behavior and budgets. Let's explore some concrete examples of how taxation works in the real world. Imagine the government wants to encourage businesses to invest in new machinery and technology. It could introduce a tax credit for such investments. This means that if a company buys a new, more efficient robot for its factory, it can deduct a portion of that cost from its taxes. This makes the investment cheaper for the company, providing an incentive to upgrade its equipment, which can lead to increased productivity and competitiveness. Consider sales taxes. Most of us pay these regularly. When you buy a new shirt or a coffee, a small percentage is often added to the price as sales tax. If the government needs to raise more revenue, it might slightly increase the sales tax rate. This would mean everyday items become a little more expensive. While a small increase might not seem like much on a single purchase, across millions of transactions, it can generate significant funds for public services. Section 8. Balancing act, expansionary versus contractionary choices. Governments use these tools of spending and taxation in two main ways, depending on the economic weather. Think of it like an astronaut adjusting the climate controls in a spaceship. If the economy is cold and sluggish, perhaps in a recession with high unemployment and low growth, the government might use expansionary fiscal policy. The goal here is to expand or boost economic activity. It's like turning up the heat to get things moving again. How does expansionary policy work? The government can increase its spending. It might fund new infrastructure projects, like building bridges or upgrading the power grid. This directly creates jobs and injects money into the economy. Alternatively, or in combination, the government can cut taxes. Lower income taxes give people more money to spend. Lower corporate taxes can encourage businesses to invest and hire. Both actions aim to increase overall demand and get the economic engines firing on all cylinders once more. Section 9, keeping it steady, fiscal policy as an economic stabilizer. So we've journeyed through the cosmos of fiscal policy, we've seen its goals, its tools, and how it can be used to steer the economic ship. The ultimate aim of all these maneuvers, the spending, the taxing, the expanding, the contracting, is to achieve economic stability. A stable economy is one that avoids wild swings. It doesn't lurch from deep recessions to runaway inflation. Instead, it provides a predictable environment where people can plan, businesses can invest, and society can prosper. Fiscal policy acts like a giant shock absorber for the economy. When times are tough, during a recession, expansionary fiscal policy, increased government spending or tax cuts, can cushion the blow. It can help prevent a downturn from becoming a deep and prolonged depression. It can provide a safety net for those who lose their jobs and stimulate demand to get businesses hiring again. It's about providing support when the economic gravity well becomes too strong.